Welcome to the Investing Bros. I am T Shroom, and I'm going to be walking you through what the heck is going on over at AVAX. The Avalanche chain is actually having a major outage, it seems. This is the status.avax.network site, and as you can see here, there is a major outage. Now, we just had an episode like this with Solana. I believe it was towards the end of January, if not the very beginning of February, it could have been. Guys, what happened with Solana? Not much. Not much really happened price-wise, right? What we learned is that when a blockchain is VC-backed, right, those VCs are used to a certain amount of downtime in the software that they're invested in, okay? We may be seeing a similar situation here with AVAX. If I do go over to the price for AVAX, I'll start on the weekly chart here. You can kind of see, AVAX has quite a bit more to move, in my opinion, throughout the rest of this bull market. This is what you'd be missing out on if you sold today. Now, it might sound like, T-Shroom, you are shilling the heck out of AVAX this morning. I'm not. Like, what I'm trying to help people realize is that AVAX, Solana, and to some extent Ethereum, these are not the same as, an XRP or a Cardano, right? The investment class behind it, the demographic of folks who are invested in it are different, and they have different expectations for the outcomes of the actual blockchains, right? Today, that outcome is going to be really the uptime, right? The uptime is kind of what matters. Let's drill in a little bit deeper here. Let's go down to the 1 hour and see what's crack-a-lacking. So AVAX doesn't look like it's really taken too much of a tumble, right? You can see today being the 23rd of February. Really, I mean, there was a red candlestick here, right? But we broke through the Bollinger Band back here on the 22nd. So there's been some growing. There's been some growing kind of bearish pressure on the 1 hour. This is broken down, has rejected off the midline of the Bollinger Band, has been in a downtrend for several days now, going back to the 15th, where it kind of peaked out here at $43 per coin. Zooming back out to, let's go to the 4 hour chart here, take a look. As you can see, AVAX recently, just as recently as the 27th of January, broke out of a downtrending wedge, it looks like. No, downtrending channel. Broke out of that, had a nice textbook confirmation to the upside, and has been trending up to 43, just as we said, until now. It has kind of settled back down around these highs from January 29th, late January, and then early February. And it's finding some nice support there on around 36.5, right? And that's where we are today. Could we see a big drop? I think it could still be in the cards, right? Because there's not a lot of Americans that are awake quite yet. You'd have to imagine that the majority of Americans are still fast asleep in Texas, Illinois, and Chicago, and California, right? And when they wake up, there's a chance that there's a little more of a sell-off, right? But to be honest with you, I think we probably would have already seen it, because there is the whole rest of the freaking world, right, that is awake and has been, had the opportunity to sell. So do I think it's a nothing burger? I think these outages, unfortunately, it seems, and I'm the first person to disagree with this growing consensus, but it does seem to be that these major outages, at least in this phase of crypto, from an investment standpoint, I wouldn't say it's a nothing burger, because it's at least a talking point, but it's not becoming a major sell the news event. It's not an issue, and it sucks, right? It sucks because we should have higher expectations for this brand new technology that's going to basically underpin the future of not just money, but information and software development, right? We should have higher expectations. I certainly do, but I'm also not the one down in the trenches developing it, so it's easy for me to say up here as a critic. Overall here, guys, I do think that AVAX is going to maintain. Now, to be honest with you, if it does go down, right, if there's a sell-off this morning when folks wake up in Texas, Illinois, and California, I don't know. I think probably would buy it. Avalanche has been one that I've been DCAing into, and we learned our lesson with Solana when it had its outages, that when it's a VC-backed coin, VC has been investing in software for many years now, and they expect a non 100% uptime. Put simply, put cleanly, that's where we are. I do have some details on this story, though. Let's get into those. AVAX is down. Avalanche is down. AVAX price is dipping. Well, we kind of looked at the chart, and maybe dipping's an appropriate word. That we did get a red candlestick, but for what we would expect, this is definitely not really too much of a sell-off here for Avalanche. One of the leading layer ones is experiencing what's called a major outage, according to the official status page. The outage is ongoing for 16 minutes, according to the status page at the time of this writing. So as of right now, as of the time of my reporting, I do not think that this uptime has been remedied. So it's been going for 1 hour and 42 minutes, and the block finalization is stalled. So let's get back to reading. Out of this recording, 9:07 Eastern Standard Time, it has not been resolved. Developers across the community are currently investigating a stall in block finalization that is preventing blocks from being accepted by the primary network. Updates will be posted here as the issue is investigated. Okay, now here's something to also consider. With AVAX, there are multiple networks, right? The C network, I believe, is the primary network. So there are multiple networks, and I'm interested to see if folks in the AVAX community, in the Avalanche community, can educate the rest of crypto and say, hey, this is what these extra networks are for. It's for when there is downtime on the C network. Now, I don't know that that's the case. But I'm going to be looking out and seeing if there's going to be some education, some guidance on, hey, nothing really changed. Blocks are still propagated or not. Or they'll be like, no, and maybe this should be an operation of the other networks. Okay, just spitballing here as a non-dev. Updates will be posted here as the issue is investigated. Well, I'm sure they'll be posted on Crypto Potato, sure. Meanwhile, Avalanche's token is, well, we already kind of looked at the price. Let's see if there's not really another explanation. Okay, so this is somewhat breaking news. That's why I'm bringing it to you this morning. As more folks wake up in America, where the money at? There could be more of a sell-off, but based on what we saw again with Solana, there more than likely won't be, is my guess. If there is, I'm buying. Right now, where would I reverse that? You might ask. Well, if we take a look at it at AVAX's chart, let's go out to the weekly. Let's see what are some doomsday levels here for AVAX if it got real bad. And guys, we do have a couple more stories here. We're going to look at some other charts. We haven't cracked open Bitcoin or Ethereum yet, so we're going to look at that next. and then we got some more stories here. We're also going to hear a quotation, a soundbite from none other than Donald Trump. So on crypto, not just a random quote from Donald Trump, but so you can see back here there's a lot of support, which is where AVAX is currently trading under these closed candlestick tops at 39.2. So trading under that, it'd be nice to see AVAX get back above that and close. But honestly, I would say it's getting, and this is a nice place to find support. If we come all the way back down to this Bollinger Band and break down 26, 27, then I'm not saying doomsday. I think that's still too high for doomsday levels, right? But that might be a spot where I stop DCAing, right? That might be a place where I stop and just reconsider. Not saying I'm gonna stop, but I'm gonna consider stopping the DCA, right? But the thing is, you buy low, you sell high. So the more discount you can get, the better. Now, if we come all the way down, if we start getting down to 20, am I feeling the heat? I don't know. I still feel like it's a discount. Maybe I would want to see what is happening to the greater crypto market. The greater crypto market is seeing a 50% sell-off. Then I'm probably still buying AVAX. If it's just AVAX and it has to do with this outage, then I might be considering salvaging my position, meaning selling. So down here at sub 20 prices, I'm probably dumping my AVAX and rotating into Ethereum or Bitcoin until I can find another project to allocate to. By then, I probably would have found one, but just for purposes of simplicity, that's where I would rotate into, not cash. So that's very unlikely. I don't think that that's something we're going to see. And again, if the wider crypto environment, we're talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, if we're seeing 40, 50% sell-offs in those names as well, I'm probably holding because it's just some FUD which at this point, if the entire European Union calls Bitcoin worthless and Bitcoin doesn't really shed a tear, it doesn't even it just shrugs it off immediately. I don't know what FUD they're going to be able to throw at Bitcoin, short of some big structural internet outages or something like that. I don't know if we'll be seeing that this year. We'll see. All right, let's go ahead and check out the Bitcoin charts here, guys. Looking at the weekly, that's a beautiful chart. That is a beautiful chart. We are absolutely in the thick of the bull market. We're getting out of the early uncertain phases, and we're getting into that mid phase where it's pretty clear that we're in a bull market, right? But we just, now the questions are how high, what are the highs going to be, and when, before the halving, after the halving. And those are the kind of questions we're asking. So Bitcoin really, if we zoom in here, we can see Bitcoin really playing with the top of this T-box here. We've gotten some candle body closes, it looks like in the last, so we got a new candle body close low. We had one, we had one here, even on the 4 hour, we had candle body closes lower than the previous ones back here. It's very slight. Let me zoom in even more to illustrate this better. So you can see, so lower lows here on the candle body closes and the wicks, okay? Lower lows here on the candle body closes, not the wicks, but that's, that's less significant, whether the wicks are lower or not, in my opinion. It's more the candle body closes. Here on the 4 hour, that's significant. That's a lower low, right? That's downtrending. So that's, that's not great to see, but, somebody like me is looking at this, somebody who has conviction in Bitcoin is looking at this and thinking, well, how much lower do the buyers really let this go? Because if there's basically a firm line here, if you call it the bottom of these wicks, there's basically a firm line at 50,006, 50,007, call it. There hasn't been a candle body close really anywhere near that. Just because we're getting lower closes doesn't mean that the buyers aren't right here just with billions of dollars waiting to be buying up Bitcoin, right? So there's a good chance that we don't go lower than this, right? And I'd say technically, there's an argument that we don't. But zooming out, we've been saying here on the Investing Bros that there's every technical argument that we do. But that has a lot more to do with the history of Bitcoin. That Bitcoin should have had a 20, 30, maybe even 40% pullback, right? I still think a pullback of 15, 16% back down to 42,000 from here, it should happen based on history, right? But if you look at how aggressive, so it happened back here. If you look at how aggressively Bitcoin was bought up under these levels, right? There weren't the price wanted to test lower, right? After February 1st, the price wanted to test lower here, and it just never got that chance. It never got that chance to close lower. It tested on the lower time frames, lower than the 4 hour. It did get bought. It did get sold down here, right? But we didn't get candle body closes, which just shows the bulls that they're in control. And of course, one thing leads to another. And, some event occurred. I don't remember exactly what event it was. It may not have been an event. It may have been just a purely technical breakout. And then we're off to the races. And now the market is consensus that Bitcoin is priced somewhere around here, 51.7, 51.5, right? So it's going to take it's going to take something, and I've said this every single day this week. It's going to take an event to get us to push down and scare the bulls off. The bulls are sitting down here and they're eager to buy. They're not sitting down here and thinking, ooh, I'm scared, should I sell? No, they're sitting here waiting for some FUD, some real FUD, not just the EU, burping out some kind of scary language. They're waiting for real FUD to come out so that they can gobble up Bitcoin here and hopefully gobble up Bitcoin down here. But I'm thinking less and less that that's going to happen. Historically, it should. Historically, it should happen. It has happened every cycle leading into, the major section of the bull market, the mid section. Ethereum looks pretty much the same. We've got some stories we want to get to here at the halftime of the show. Down here on the 4 hour, we're seeing that, the first thing jumping out at me is that Ethereum is getting past the midline of the Bollinger Band. You know what? I'm just realizing on the 3 p.m. show, I said I was going to show you guys a new indicator, and I didn't. So this is an indicator, not from ALGO. It's just, I think it's from somebody named Rashad, but it was sent to me by Singer Fam on Discord. Check out this really cool indicator. Now, I showed this to Tim, and he didn't like it. and that's okay. Maybe you won't like it either. I have not made any trades on this indicator, but it's kind of cool. What is it? It's a Fibonacci Bollinger Band. Now, you know I love my Bollinger Bands, and from time to time I'll break out the Fibonacci. It's not my go-to, but it is a great indicator, the Fibonacci. So anyway, in one way or another, and I haven't really cracked this indicator open, but in one way or another, the developers of this indicator have baked in Fibonacci sequence into a Bollinger Band. So you have, I don't know exactly what SMA this is or EMA. It looks like yeah, you can't really tell. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't really crack it open too much, but it's cool. It's cool. So I don't know. There's some EMA, there's some moving average here. Is the purple line. Looks like maybe the 200. And because that's pretty unmoving based on price on Ethereum on the 4-hour. But then you have these Fibonacci Cs. So anyway, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but it's pretty cool. You can go check it out here, guys. I think it's called, let's see, Fibonacci Bollinger Bands by Rashad. It's got a lot of downloads here, you can see. So pretty cool. Pretty freaking cool. All right, guys, let's keep moving here because there's more in the news than just AVAX. There's much more news. And the first one is going to be these comments from Donald Trump. Now, if you are somebody who doesn't like Donald Trump, you may want to turn the episode off, right? And that's okay. I'm just kidding. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's take a listen. And what I want you to pay attention to more than ever, I knew I had a note on this, and it wasn't that stupid note I just said. Listen to Laura Ingram's intro into this question. She's kind of showing that she actually may understand a little bit more about Bitcoin than you might think. Take a look. Take a listen.
It has its own push in the Chinese digital currency. But isn't the next logical step for you to embrace Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin obviously is decentralized. The government can't get its hands on it. What about Bitcoin with all the young people, including African Americans, who are very interested in it?
Well, a lot of people are doing it. I always liked one currency. I call it a currency. I like the dollar. But a lot of people are doing it. And frankly, it's taken a life of its own. You probably have to do some regulation, as you know. But many people are embracing it. And more I'm seeing people wanting to pay Bitcoin. And you're seeing something that's interesting. So I can live with it one way or the other. I've always liked one really powerful thing, and that's called the dollar.
Yeah.
China.
I think that's it. Cool. So that is a softening, right? That's a softening tone towards crypto. Trump has kind of had an interesting evolution of his thought on crypto and Bitcoin. Bitcoin has taken on a life of its own. We'll probably need some regulation, he says. When I hear him say that, I think he almost says it in kind of a placating way. It's like, because what are you going to really do to regulate Bitcoin? Not a whole lot, right? I think what he's saying here is less that he's actually going to put pen to paper and regulate it, and more so that he's not 100% sold. He doesn't 100% trust it, but it seems to be, that it's great and people like it and they should be able to buy it and sell it. And he himself has minted NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain, right? So, the extent to which he's saying he wants to regulate it, I think he's right. I think there does need to be more regulation to try to, at least education, to help folks understand exactly what they're getting into when they invest in crypto. But when it comes to regulation, I mean, we need regulatory clarity, right? And that's going to come with more regulation. And we'll see. We'll see exactly how that pans out. But Donald Trump kind of showing there a little bit of a shifting tone. Obviously a big fan of the dollar, which I guess you can't blame him. He's grown up. He's made a lot of money in an environment where the dollar has been very stable, has been the backbone of an economy that, again, he's been very successful and made a lot of money off of. He's also won presidential elections based on. So, you can't blame him. That you got to go with what you know. But ultimately here, if Donald Trump is elected, right, then there's in the United States, then there's something to say here that he is kind of shifting his tone, and he would be at least more bullish, or his types of policies, his types of rhetoric on crypto would be more bullish than what we've seen from the current administration here in the United States. Now, how that pans out into Gary Gensler getting fired, would he sign, a firing policy if it was sent up from Congress and the Senate to fire Gary Gensler? That's a whole nother thing entirely. I'm not really sure, right? I think that's probably too much to ask from Donald Trump at this point with his posture towards crypto. However, it would be more likely than with the current administration, it would seem. So you kind of really got to squeeze this lemon pretty hard here of this story in order to get too excited and too bullish. But ultimately, this is, in my opinion, a definite shift in tone, but only by a couple of clicks, only a couple of degrees towards optimism of crypto. But we'll see. Maybe that's all it takes. Maybe that's all it takes for Bitcoin to be hitting all-time highs before the halving. Is Trump to keep winning in the polls and Trump to keep thawing his view towards crypto to the affirmative, to the positive, to the bullish. Well, there's a major organization out there. You've probably heard of it. You may even use it that has become very bullish towards Bitcoin, and that is Reddit. Reddit SEC filing reveals Bitcoin Ethereum investment. So social media platform Reddit has revealed that it looks to go public and is filing with the SEC. Guys, interesting. The platform revealed that it has added Bitcoin and Ethereum to its balance sheet in a filing for initial public offering, stating its invested a portion of its excess cash in reserve into purchasing the world's two leading cryptocurrencies. They did not reveal how much it had invested into these purchases, so it could only be 5 cents into Ethereum and Bitcoin. We invested some of our excess cash reserves in Bitcoin and Ether, and also acquired Ether and Matic as a form of payment for sales of certain virtual goods, which we will continue to do into the future. The net carry value of our cryptocurrencies, which consisted primarily of Bitcoin and Ether, as well as related cryptocurrency activity, was immaterial for the periods presented. Okay. Immaterial could indicate that it is pretty petty cash, like less than $5,000. So we'll see. We'll see how this one continues. But the fact that they've got it on their balance sheet indicates that they're using it for actual commerce, right? And I don't know if that's more important than holding it as an investment. But it's something. While we believe cryptocurrencies and blockchains have significant potential, the popularity and prevalence of cryptocurrencies is a relatively recent trend, and whether cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology will continue to be adopted by consumers and businesses in the long term is uncertain. Okay, Reddit. Reddit, always trying to stay controversial. I get it. That's what they do. They're a controversy farm over there in Reddit. And hey, let me know. Should we get a Reddit? Should Investing Bros expand into Reddit? I kind of loathe the idea, but maybe we should. Maybe that's our next move. And speaking of letting me know things, let's check in on the chat. Let's see what the heck is going on. I see Crypto Billy saying +1 for T-Shroom. I love that. The Kid Coman said, the country will boom once again. There's a strong possibility of this. I agree. We certainly are seeing it down in Argentina, where they have had their first monthly budget surplus. We reported on that earlier this week, and that is because of Javier Milei, taking the country down a completely new road it never thought it would go down, which is healing, a healing road. And this healing is coming with pain, unfortunately, for Argentina, and it may be coming with pain for the United States as we might have to take a different road. I don't know if Trump is going to lead us down that road, but it may be Vivek. Maybe Vivek later on. Thug Nasty said, BRICS want to destroy the dollar. We will need other currencies in the next generation or two. It's possible. It's possible. I think that the BRICS narrative is extremely, extremely weak. I think that it's a lot more bark and a lot less bite than people think, but I could be wrong about that. Let me know. What do you guys think? Do you think that the BRICS are something that people are underestimating? Or do you think that there's really something there? I personally think that the dollar has so much further to fall than people realize. It is pretty robust. It is pretty robust. The Kid come and said, I don't disagree with Trump on this. In a perfect world, the dollar would be the best, but we've ruined it. That's a pretty good take. I like that take. Thug Nasty said, crypto will explode on the news of Hun being president again. Hun. I think he meant Trump. Trump is a Chad. All right. I didn't say that. Thug Nasty said Trump is a Chad. Trump's a Chad. Crypto Billy throwing up some hearts. You got to love it. Let's see who was first in the chat. Oh, it was Gia S saying GM. Happy Friday. Absolutely. TGIF. And then Nancy Croy, not too far behind, saying, good morning, T-Shroom. Of course, Nancy Croy. First live chat of 2024. All right. Username formerly known as GB said, good morning, all. Good to see ya. Formerly known as GB. Interesting username there. There's a lot. Your username tells a story. It illustrates a saga of what you've been through, the highs, the lows, Who was GB? Why was there a change? Why aren't I more creative in my usernames? It's questions we all ask ourselves. Well, as we're nearing the show, I got one more story here for you. It's nothing crazy, and then we'll go to the charts. Let me know one ticker. I will look up one ticker and do some TA on ticker. Oh, we've got some thoughts here on the bricks. Before we get to that, Injective introduces ERC 404. That's right, Injective. Port to capitalize on the hype around experimental token standards. Of course, this was pretty big news a week or two ago. The ERC 404 was something that's becoming a thing, and now it looks like Injective is trying to get in on that. And you have to think that this is Injective trying to scramble. Scramble might be too strong of a word, but really trying to, figure out what it wants to do, how it wants to continue to differentiate itself. It had a lot of popularity very recently, but then you throw in these names here of like Tia and Tau, and they've kind of stolen, in my opinion, a similar thunder. Who disagrees with me? Who agrees with me here? And it's not just these. It's also Stacks, and to some extent Arweave. But Injective, it seemed like it was a layer one that was just going to be like, could this be the next AVAX? Could this be the next, Solana? Injective. I mean, and I don't know. I think that there's still an argument to be made there, but it's a little harder to see it now that you have some of these competitors that are much more in the forefront. Now you can't have a crypto live stream on February the 23rd without talking about AGIX, for Pete's sake, and the AI narrative. I've been kind of, as you'll notice, I haven't been covering the AI narrative all that much because it's like you're hearing it from every angle, right? But AGIX, absolutely freaking killing it. Let's look at the Fibonacci. Let's look at the Fibonacci Bollinger Band. Some technical analysts are looking at this and being like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. Some people are like, ooh, that looks interesting. But AGIX absolutely destroying the market. Let's see what it's doing. Since it's gone into this bull phase from mid-February, it is up 168%, call it. Doing very, very nice for AGIX. Let's jump on over to our last story here, which is that Elon Musk is ready to take on Gmail. He says alternative Xmail is coming. I thought that I was an Xmail. Just kidding here. All right, DJ Yarvis writes AGIX on a tear. GM, it absolutely is. Let's see, where did that BRICS comment go? A mellow fellow said BRICS is definitely overhyped. It has revolves around currency dying like the dollar. Yeah, and look, don't get me wrong. From a black and white standpoint, from just purely binary standpoint, yes, BRICS is rising and dollar is declining. But a lot of people are thinking that like BRICS is at 45 and the dollar is at 55, and soon they're going to meet and the BRICS are going to become bigger. Guys, the reality is, in my mind, is BRICS is probably more at like 14, and maybe these quantities are like level of influence and importance and use, adoption. So like the BRICS is like a level 14. The dollar's at like 89, right? It's not like these are going to come and the break even is going to happen soon. It's like maybe 50 years from now, if these trajectories remain the same, eventually we'll see that like happen, right? Now there's always tons of events that could happen that could accelerate that, right, and bring them more on an equal footing. But right now, the way I look at it, the way I look at the world, the amount of commerce that's done in dollars, the amount of settled contracts in dollars. I mean, who did Argentina just pivot to? Right, they want to dollarize their economy. They are in my opinion, Javier Milei, Argentina is the shining star of the world of how to fix this crazy debt addiction that the world is in. And what are they turning to? They're turning to the dollar. Now, should they have turned to the Bitcoin? Yes, in my opinion, they should have, right? But ultimately, they're turning towards the dollar, and maybe it'll be Bitcoin further down the road. But the point is that the BRICS narrative is definitely overhyped, and it's overhyped because it's cheap to do hype. It's cheap, and China has its hands and tendrils in a lot of different marketing things that exist, and that's not illegal. It's not bad. Well, you might be able to make the argument that it's bad, But it's not illegal, and they're going to continue to do that. And so they have every incentive to say, ooh, dollar's scary, brick's good, right? And they can pay for that message to be proliferated. S. McAllister said Uniswap is pumping. Okay. Let's take a look at Uniswap here. We're almost at the end of the show. We're running a little bit over time here. I do love me some Uniswap, though. Oh my gosh, you are not kidding. Uniswap is absolutely tearing. Up 20% today. Goodness gracious. You guys want to see this chart? You want to see this chart, this Uniswap chart? It is beautiful. It is close to a God candle. It's not quite an actual God candle. It's like a Zeus candle. This is quite a crazy candle. Smash that like button for Uniswap this morning. If you have a little Uniswap in your bag, give me a hootie hoo. All right, let's keep moving here. Kartik Philly said, what's up, my friend? Kartik Philly? Kartik Pilly? I'm not sure what that means. Said, what's up, my friend, and good morning, and best way to start Friday from Cali. Let's go. So we got somebody in California who's already awake. Kartik Philly also said, can you do a TA on souls? I think there was a hack. I don't think we're going to have time, but I appreciate you coming this morning and watching the Investing Bros. If you have enjoyed this stream, make sure that you smash the like button on the way out and consider subscribing. We'll be live again here at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to cover all the developments of the stories that have come out today. What is going to happen with Avalanche? Is there going to be a sell-off when America wakes up? Is there going to be a remedy? Or will it be a nothing burger like what happened with Solana? And we'll hear more chatter, I'm sure, around Trump's comments on crypto and also what the heck is going to happen with the Gmail alternative, Xmail. We'll see. I don't know. They might have to come up with a different name than Xmail, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. Stay hydrated, and if you're trading, keep your stop losses tight, and go watch the Piper Academy starting in 2 minutes ago. Go check it out. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms News got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.